In today's video, we're going to expose the Dave Ramsey buy term and invest the difference fallacy. Hey folks, I'm best-selling author David McKnight. Today we're going to expose the unsettling math behind Dave Ramsey's recommendation to buy term and invest the difference. We all know that Dave Ramsey is no fan of permanent life insurance. Take a listen to what Dave Ramsey has to say about it on his website. Quote, "There are two main kinds of life insurance, with a few other varieties we'll deal with later, but the basic types are term life and permanent life insurance. Even though all the different forms of permanent life insurance are way more expensive and confusing than term life, that doesn't mean they're not popular. We believe that's because many people just lack the info about these ripoffs." Close quote. In other words, the only reason why someone would enter into a permanent life insurance policy is because they haven't done enough research. They're gullible, and they're simply entering into the arrangement without all of the information. Once a consumer does, in fact, gather all the information, they'll readily conclude that term life insurance is the only cost-effective way to go. You're much better off, Dave Ramsey insists, taking the money you were thinking about contributing to your permanent life insurance policy, buying a term life insurance policy, and investing the balance into a more traditional tax-free account like a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k. This approach has come to be known as buy term and invest the difference. In an effort to buttress the claim that permanent life insurance is a ripoff, Dave Ramsey will show you a comparison that looks something like this. Let's say that you're 35 years old and you contribute $26,000 per year for the next 30 years into a permanent life insurance policy growing at 6.24% per year. Let's also say that permanent life insurance policy has a $500,000 death benefit. By the time you retire at age 65, your cash value will only be $1,944,145. Now let's instead, take that $26,000 per year and fully fund your Roth 401k at $20,500 and put the remaining $5,500 into your Roth IRA. For comparison's sake, let's also grow those Roth accounts at the exact same rate of 6.24%. By the time you reach 65, you'd have $2.3 million, that's $360,000 more than you'd have in your permanent life insurance policy. In other words, by going the permanent life insurance route, you just made a $360,000 mistake. See, I told you that permanent life insurance was a ripoff, Dave Ramsey concludes. Now, is the comparison that Dave Ramsey is making here truly apples to apples, or is it just a bunch of fruit salad? Let's break it down. What Dave Ramsey has failed to account for in this supposedly apples to apples comparison are two major expenses. The first expense is the cost of term life insurance. If the permanent life insurance policy has a death benefit of $500,000, then to be fair, you have to account for the cost of an equivalent amount of term life insurance in the buy term and invest a different scenario. For a 35-year-old in good health, a 30-year term insurance policy for $500,000 would cost $804 per year. We'd have to subtract that amount from the $26,000, leaving us with $25,196 to invest in the Roth accounts. The second expense that Dave Ramsey fails to account for is the expense ratio inside those Roth accounts. An expense ratio is the cost you pay for the third-party investment management. Since $20,500 of the total amount to be invested is going into that Roth 401k, let's take a look at what its typical expense ratio might be. According to the 401k Averages book, a company with 2,000 employees can expect to see an average 0.78% total expense ratio. In comparison, small business plans with 50 employees have an expense ratio of 1.26% on average. For our comparison today, let's assume a medium-sized company with an average expense ratio of 1%. So to be clear, if we're truly after an apples-to-apples comparison, we can only invest $25,196 per year into an account that's earning a gross rate of return of 6.24%, but a net rate of return of 5.24%. And what we find is that at the end of 30 years, the buy term and invest the difference scenario only produces $1,649,036. Compare that to the $1,944,145 you would have in your permanent life insurance policy. What's more, at the the end of that 30-year time period, that $500,000 term life insurance policy expires. You have no life insurance left. Conversely, at that same point in time, the LIRP has a total death benefit of $2,444,215. So your heirs would get that $1.9 million of cash value plus about $500,000 of life insurance for a total death benefit of over $2.4 million. And should you end up needing long-term care somewhere down the road, you can receive that death benefit in advance of your death for the purpose of paying for it. So in summary, in an attempt to justify his claim that permanent life insurance is a ripoff, Dave Ramsey doesn't tell you the entire story. He's omitting key details that vindicate permanent life insurance over time. Now, you may be saying, hey, I think I can do better than 6.24% gross rate of return in my Roth and Roth 401k accounts. That may be the case. But you could also do better than the 6.24% in your LIRP. This is just the maximum amount the federal government allows to be illustrated. But guess what? If you can get a 6.24% gross rate of return without taking any more risk than what you're accustomed to taking in your savings account, that's a pretty safe and productive way to grow at least a portion of your portfolio. Hey folks, it's time for the Power of Zero question of the day. What are your thoughts about buying term and investing the difference? Go ahead and put your answers in the comments section below. That said, let's assume that the best we can do with our permanent life insurance is 6.24% over time, and we can grow our Roth accounts at 10% over time. Wouldn't the LIRP really be lagging those accounts over time? This is another big fallacy that Dave Ramsey perpetuates. No one's really suggesting that permanent life insurance replace our traditional stock-heavy retirement plans. At least I'm not. What I might instead suggest is that you make your permanent life insurance the bond portion of your overall investment portfolio. Reach into your current investment portfolio, take out your bond allocation and replace it with permanent life insurance. If you do so, you're going to find that the overall return on your portfolio goes up, the overall risk goes down, and you'll lower the standard deviation of the entire portfolio. Plus, you'll be getting a death benefit that doubles as long-term care along the way. Here's the bottom line. I'm not trying to make the case that you put all your money into permanent life insurance. What I am suggesting, however, is that Dave Ramsey has taken a disingenuous approach in his claim that buy term and invest the difference is the only way to go. If you'd like to learn how to incorporate permanent life insurance into a balanced approach to tax-free retirement planning, head on over to davidmcknight.com and opt in for a complimentary strategy session. I'm happy to give you a hand. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. And feel free to make any comments or ask any questions in the comments section below. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.